This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 215, our solo-tastic part 2 breakdown of Skywalking Through Neverland.
When you were watching that, did you think, yep, Alden Ehrenreich is the guy?
There is this lizard-faced guy stood there. That's me.
And then once with Chewie, and I gave him like a high five.
Just watching you reminisce about this, I can tell how much of a spiritual moment it was.
Harrelson interview bombs Alden on Entertainment Tonight.
Well, what do you think of Joonas's portrayal of Chewbacca versus Peter Mayhew?
Hi, I'm Dee Tails. You can see me in Solo, a Star Wars story, on the Spice Mines of Kessel as Quay Tolsite. You know, that guy getting his butt handed to him by the Mother of Dragons? Yeah, that's me. And I'm skywalking through Neverland.
Are you ready?
Off to Neverland!
Here we go!
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets lab. It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Never Land that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers! Hey, want to hear directly from the cast and crew of Solo, a Star Wars story? Then you've come to the right place, because we are Raiders of the Solo Archives. You see what I did there?
Arc.
Yep, and we have so much in our continuing Solo-tastic breakdown of Solo, a Star Wars story. And we'll be saying Solo-tastic so many times during this episode because we have so much Solo-tastic information to give to you. And, of course, we want to welcome you all to Skywalking Through Neverland. We are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars, Disney, and Marvel fandom. I am Richard Woloski, but everyone please say hello to my sweetie wife, Sarah.
Hey, Skywalkers! We're gonna give you a big Wookiee hug. To all of our family of Skywalkers, we want to thank you so much for listening to the show every week. And if you're just tuning in for the very first time, welcome! You are now a Skywalker, and we love it when you tweet at us, you guys. We are at SkywalkingPod.
Okay, we got to make a summer note over here. Instead of listening every week, it's every week.
And a half?
Yeah.
Sort of?
Yeah, just to clarify that. If you didn't hear that from last episode, and it is summertime. This is a really busy season, so our shows will become more of like a week and a half.
It's true. Yeah, we don't ever want to take a summer hiatus because there's just too much to share with you Skywalkers.
Yeah, we tried that once, didn't work out.
No. So we will be rolling out shows, but they'll come out exactly like about every week and a half because of just work schedules and things. So yeah.
Yeah, this episode, I think this is our 4th recording session.
Yes. Yeah, we do it in little bits when we're both together. But in general, we just love it when you share our joy in this adventure through fandom. You can also head over to youtube.com/skywalkingthrough-neverland to subscribe and see some press conferences and all kinds of fun things over there.
Now, we are recording this at a specific time of the day. Mickey, or Minnie, what specific time of the day is it?
It's 12:37. Good afternoon.
You had that one chambered.
I did.
Oh, it's only been about 56 episodes, but you finally got it.
You didn't even have to edit it, so it's closer to when I actually pressed the button.
Well, good for you. Now, we are recording this from the city of Long Beach, California on June the 13th, 2018. Hey, what happened on this date back on June the 13th in, let's say, 1929?
1929?
Yes, today in Star Wars history, June 13th, 1929.
Okay, so Star Wars wasn't even invented yet. So I gotta say it's gotta be like a birthday of someone who worked on Star Wars?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Why don't you fill us in, Richard?
All
'Cause
right.
I can see the show notes.
Well, this is the birthday of conceptual artist Ralph McQuarrie.
Whoa.
Now, I'm sure I've mentioned this on the show before, but Ralph and I, we used to be pen pals.
What?
You couldn't tweet at them.
No?
Because they wouldn't know what you're doing because Twitter hadn't been invented. We were like 60 years. Well, no.
Not
okay.
quite that
yeah.
much.
No, about, 30 years before Twitter. This is back in 1984.
So you wrote a letter to Ralph McQuarrie?
I used to write a letter to everybody on their birthdays.
Aww.
And most times I would get a autographed picture back.
Wow.
But from a few people like Richard Marquand, director of Return of the Jedi, and Ralph McQuarrie, they would write back to me. And Ralph and I, we went back and forth about 2 or 3 times.
Really?
So I have this letter I want to read to everybody. I've got a couple of more letters somewhere in the garage.
Okay.
Somewhere safely stowed away, but I just haven't found them yet. But on August 21st, 1984, this is what Ralph McQuarrie wrote to me. Dear Richard, man, you are a serious fan. I started off every letter with, hello, my name is Richard Woloski, and I have seen Star Wars 93 times, or whatever. Hope your eyes are still in good shape, he says. Glad to hear from people interested in what I do. Quite a few people write, and not many who are as interested as you obviously are.
Aw.
See, I was a super fan way back then. I've heard there is talk around Lucasfilm about doing the next Star Wars trilogy. I don't know if I will be working on it or not. Maybe. Because I would always ask them, so are you doing anything more with Star Wars?
Right.
And this is back in 84, where he was hearing talk around Lucasfilm about the next Star Wars trilogy. I wonder what he was hearing. Then he continues on by saying, I would always ask them, do you think you'll be at any upcoming science fiction conventions? And he replied back by saying, I've been guest at one convention in California, but do not make it a point of attending conventions, especially ones a long way away, because I was in Boston. And then in my letter to him, I wrote, hey, there was a specific painting that you had mentioned in a Bantha Tracks issue that George Lucas didn't want.
Okay.
And what is up with this? Because at this point, I had pretty much gathered all the Star Wars information out there, but yet there was this one lingering piece of info that I had not grasped on. So I wrote to him and said, what is it with this Millennium Falcon picture? And he answers that by saying, I can't recall any specific pic of the Millennium Falcon George did not want to use. I'd like to know more about what you heard. I have no painting of it in my possession, and I can't recall one which was not published somewhere. Thanks again, sincerely, RMQ, Ralph McQuarrie.
I love his signature, RMQ. You know what that reminds me of?
What?
RAB, which is from, of course, Harry Potter. So yeah, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, and look at his handwriting.
Yeah.
It's just so artistic.
It is. And he would be good on Twitter because he's already making words shorter. He said pic instead of picture.
And I've got to go back and find out what I had read about a Millennium Falcon painting.
Okay.
Because he had not heard of it, and I have not heard anything else about it. But every once in a while, a Ralph McQuarrie painting will surface. Like, hey, I've never seen this before. I should contact Paul Bateman.
Yes.
Paul will know about this.
Yeah.
All right, put that on my to-do list.
Okay.
Ralph McQuarrie had retired back in the mid-90s.
Okay.
But the last thing he ever worked on for Lucasfilm was the packaging on a Galoob toy.
Okay.
Which is why you should never open up toys because of their awesome packaging. And unfortunately, this packaging never saw the light of day.
Oh, how sad.
But moving forward, there's been so much other designs that were based on his original artwork that is used in, of course, the Clone Wars and Rebels and the new films.
Okay,
See if you can name one.
Zeb,
okay.
is like the original design for Chewie, right?
Yep. So
Okay.
that's one.
Is Troop Transport based on that?
And that's based on a Kenner toy.
Okay. I didn't know if the Kenner toy was based on his art.
No.
But, okay.
No.
Not that.
No.
Well, a BB-8.
BB-8
Yeah.
was one of the original R2-D2 designs.
Okay.
When he was on this little ball bearing.
Oh, nice. All right, and what else? What else?
Well, we have Darth Vader from Rebels.
Oh, right.
If you look at the pointed design of his helmet,
so amazing.
and then look at the Ralph McQuarrie paintings with a little bit of updating, of course.
Right.
To make it look more like the film version. But you have those hard lines. All right, what else can you name?
So I'm thinking of one of Rey's outfits. Isn't that like a concept of Luke as a female character?
Yes, Rey's speeder outfit, when she's got the goggles and she's got these scarves, which was taken from the original Luke Skywalker female design. And then we have the Nema outpost from The Force Awakens, which was, if you look at one of those structures, that was taken from a Ralph McQuarrie painting of Jabba's entrance to his palace.
Oh, neato.
Yes. And then in Solo, there was a picture Ron Howard had posted on Twitter, or was it Instagram, one of the two, of these like hieroglyphics.
Okay.
This was taken from a Ralph McQuarrie painting. If you look very closely and zoom in, you'll see these same letterings on a pole.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's some deep cut there.
That's a little inside baseball.
Yeah, that's very, very deep cuts in there. And someone had reached out to Paul Bateman, because Paul had worked under Ralph McQuarrie, and said, "Hey, Paul, what do these letters mean? It's not Arabic, but what does this mean?" And Paul said, "Well, you know what? Ralph always worked off the cuff, so he could have just done some lines here and there, and it didn't really mean anything."
Right.
Because who would think 40 years later we would want to know what every single line meant?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure it was just his scribble of like, oh, we want something that looks like ancient text. So there you go.
Yeah. And it's something that was really buried deep inside of one of the sets of Solo.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Skywalkers. Well, if you know of any more Ralph McQuarrie artwork that's cropping up in Star Wars today, please tweet at us at SkywalkingPod.
There's one more glaring one, but I'll see if the Skywalkers can get it.
Ooh, okay.
All right. Now, we have another big Solo episode coming up. And by the way, we just saw Solo for our 4th time.
Yeah.
In 4DX.
Excellent. It was like a 2-hour-long Star Tours ride.
Yeah, Star Tours on steroids.
Yes. My favorite part was the Kessel Run.
Yeah. I think in the very beginning, when Han is being chased in the speeder, we weren't expecting the level of intensity, and all of a sudden the chairs start jerking up and down and side to side, and Dave Scale was sitting next to me, and the popcorn went all over him.
Because
it jerked so hard, the popcorn went all over Dave.
Is that why the people in the next aisle were laughing at us?
Yeah, pretty much. And it got to the point where I really felt like we needed seatbelts.
Yes.
That's how hard this row of seats were shaking.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think it was 4 in a row that would all do things at once. And just like Star Tours, you had your line of seats that are all moving together. So it was cool. And also what I liked was not only when you're seeing the ships go around and around, or the speeder going, like hitting bumps or something, but when the camera is like within the speeder and you have like the constant rumble of the engine, the seats would kind of move steadily, just like you were in a car or in a speeder. Same with the Millennium Falcon cockpit. Going through hyperspace, you heard like the whirring of the engine, and your seat would be bobbing ever so slightly.
And those scenes that were in space, we felt that coldness of space.
Yes.
The
wind.
Yes, the seats would blow air on you. It's like, am I underneath an air conditioning duct?
I really should have worn jeans. It was cold.
Yeah, so when you were in space, you knew it because it was freezing. And they had little puffs of smoke that
didn't quite work that well.
Didn't quite work out. And
no.
I was like, okay, I can see your effort there, but...
Like for the planet of...
Mimban.
Thank you, Mimban.
Yeah, I thought something was on the projector lens.
Yeah.
Is that smudge? No, wait a minute. If you look way to the front of the theater, you'll see little pss of smoke.
Yeah, it should have been on the sides. Like smoke should have been coming in from the sides. But that, it was cute.
So if you haven't seen it in 4DX, you must go and see Solo in 4DX. We've seen it in 3D, 4D, 2D, What else did we see it in?
And a press screening.
At a press screening, but what?
That's it.
Was it like the THX Elemental P or at the?
Yeah, well, the Chinese Theater IMAX. I'm not sure if that's Dolby Sound or THX.
Yeah, there's just so many different ways of seeing a movie now.
Yes,
I can't keep track. When it comes to the audio, one is audio enhanced, one is audio surround.
So we saw it in 2D IMAX at the Chinese Theater.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
And IMAX was pretty neat to see it that big.
You can really see the difference between IMAX and non-IMAX.
Exactly. All right, so what's going on today's episode?
Well, we have part 2 of our coverage of Solo, a Star Wars story, and this time we touch on some highlights of the press conference held back on May the 12th. Now, to see the whole press conference, we'll go to our YouTube channel.
And we also have part 2 of our discussion with Dee Tails, who played Quay Tolsite in Solo. Now, on part 1, Dee said that the pronunciation for Quay had not been determined since they were calling him Key during the rehearsals and Quay during production. So Dee just reached out to us and told us that Leland Chee himself confirmed it was Quay.
All right. Put that one to bed.
Yeah, that's on Twitter too. So if you head to Dee Tails on Twitter at DEETAILS, you can see their tweet stream. So yay, thanks Leland.
All right, now let's dive into the press conference. And Sarah, your recap of all the fun things you got to do right before you went in to talk with all of the major Solo celebrities. The Solo, a Star Wars story press conference was held on May the 12th in Pasadena, California, and it was moderated by Anthony Carboni from the Star Wars show. In attendance was you, sweetie.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go because I had to work.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was on a Saturday. It's
yes, hard. But you went there representing the Skywalking Through Neverland. So for those who didn't get a chance to go, tell us all about the experience and what you saw and what you rode in and who you hugged, who you shook hands with.
Okay.
The swag. Tell us everything.
Okay. Well, it was held in a big conference center. And so we got in there, and it wasn't the press conference room itself that you go into first. We actually checked in a big giant room, much like you would be at like Star Wars Celebration, like the hall where all the booths are. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how they had a setup for the press area. And you walk in, and right in front of you is like the check-in booth, and behind that is a bunch of tables where you can put your stuff. And then beyond that, along the walls and everywhere, they had stuff set up.
So this was like the vendor area.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like the vendor area, and you look to your right and there was food. And then you keep on looking along the wall, and they had a bunch of booth set up with Solo merchandise all nice. There. Yeah, so they had stuff from the Disney store. They had Disney consumer products items as well. And I actually spoke with a woman from Disney Consumer Products, and you'll actually know that it's not called Disney Consumer Products anymore. It's called a way longer name, which she'll explain. So let's hear a little bit of what she says about all these Disney consumer products. Here at the Solo, a Star Wars Story press conference, and we have a ton of amazing merchandise from Disney Consumer Products. Is that correct?
Now called Disney Parks Experiences and Consumer Products, but yes, one and the same.
Oh, excellent. And who am I speaking with today?
Nimra. I'm on the PR team for Disney Parks Experiences and Consumer Products.
Now, does that like translate, shorten down to anything?
DPEC is what we're calling it internally, I think, so far, so that's what I'm running with.
Okay, yeah. When did that change?
When did it happen? They announced it about a month and a half ago. Yeah, they merged the parks organization and consumer products and did a few other things in a reorg, which is really exciting.
Okay, well, since we're here standing in front of so much Solo, a Star Wars Story merchandise, I see these very cute backpacks where one of them is gray and has Chewie co-pilot on it, and the other one is a little darker navy. It has Millennium Falcon on it, the words, and they look like little mini school backpacks. Where are these available, and can you tell me about them?
Yeah, so these are by State Bags. What's cool about them, you can get them online at statebags.com, and I believe they sell them at a few other retailers, perhaps like a Nordstrom, for instance. What's cool about them is that for every bag that you buy, they actually fill a bag with supplies and donate them to a child in need. So it's a one-for-one mechanism, which is really cool, and we're glad to work with companies that have those kind of corporate responsibility goals.
That's excellent. Do any other merchandise have anything like that?
Of what we see here, I'm not sure. A lot of our toy partners, especially, do a lot of toy donations throughout the year, which is really fun. Whenever we get product like this, usually they don't request it to be returned, so we usually end up taking everything that they've sent us, 2 of products, and we end up donating them to children's banks, which is great, and all of our partners support us on that, so it's really cool.
And then coming over here, because I collect lots and lots of handbags, and they keep on coming out with more and more amazing handbags and jewelry. Yeah. I'm standing in front of some BioWorld merch, some Loungefly merch, and some jewelry. Can you tell me where this stuff can be available and a little bit about these items?
Yeah, so we have this backpack over here that's Loungefly. It's really cute, mini. You can tell right away that it's inspired by Han. A lot of browns in this film, so this statement is our Kessel Crew statement, and it's a lot of brown in it. I believe the backpack behind it is Loungefly as well. And then we have these bags in here that are BioWorld. Very cool, very true to the characters in the film.
All right, out of all this merchandise here, anywhere, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, so actually we did a cool collaboration with Foot Locker. They had some vendors make a capsule collection for them. So they partnered with New Era to make shirts and hats inspired by both Han Solo and then also the classic films. And then these awesome fanny packs by Hex that are capitalizing on the chest fanny pack trend or the shoulder fanny pack trends. They're these massive, massive fanny packs. There are 3 different styles. There's this one, which is classic, the one Solo-inspired one with the dice, and then another Solo-inspired one that says Scoundrels on it, which is super fun.
So are these for guys?
They're unisex. Okay. Guys, girls, I would wear it. And then they also partnered with Stance. So Stance does their classic character socks where you have 2 with 2 different characters on them. But then they also did a special collaboration for Foot Locker where they created exclusive socks. You have some with the Millennium Falcon. You have some with with Lando on them, which are super fun.
They say Swindler.
Yeah, so they did a great job with the Foot Locker stuff, and I haven't seen the movie yet, but really excited about Lando's character, and I think they did a great job with all of the pieces inspired by him.
All right, so one more question. Now, I see a lot of this merchandise is for girls and guys, which is amazing, and also little girls and little boys.
For sure.
So is that something that you guys strive for with pretty much every film that comes out?
Yeah, basically we want to have it be really inclusive of anyone who is a fan of the film. Our fans range from little babies. We had a Gap Baby collection launch recently, which was really exciting, to all the way to people who have been fans since the movie came out. So there really is something for everyone, whether that's a collector who wants to get the 1,414 piece Lego to build by him or herself, or something fun like a Funko Pop that's great, to just great apparel for the trendy person, for the classic person. There's something for everyone.
Excellent. Well, that is very good to know, and I can't wait to see all this merchandise in store near me.
Yeah, coming soon. Or already there, actually.
Exactly. But then you also had, right in back, was this big container that looked like hyperspace on it. It had this design of hyperspace, and that was actually the Millennium Falcon experience.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh.
And there was a big line for the left side of the experience because I guess that was people waiting to get their pictures with Chewie in the Millennium Falcon cockpit. But if
I'm starting to cry.
I know.
I'm starting to cry.
But if you snuck around to the right side, you could actually walk into the Millennium Falcon and bypass the line and just see, you walk in, it was the long hallway, you're in a hallway. And then you get into this main area where you have the lounge area. So you see the booth with the hollow table, holochess table.
So now you're in the Millennium Falcon.
Yes.
In the body of the ship.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you see the holochess table and that fun couch, and then you also see the bar, Lando's bar. And unfortunately, there was no cape room. But
are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The one to highlight they should have had.
I know.
And they didn't have it?
It's true. It's true.
You would think that would be only second to the Millennium Falcon cockpit.
I know. But unfortunately, they did not have that. So, unlike what I was thinking, you don't actually walk into something that looks like the Millennium Falcon. What it actually is two containers, like you'd see on trucks, like two containers that are set together and they're put together on site, and then the Millennium Falcon cockpit kind of juts out from that.
So it's easy to store and haul.
Exactly.
All right, so now once you're in the Millennium Falcon, so you went in the back door, which I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out to Dan Zare and Amy Ratcliffe, because I went in a couple times and we both took videos and pictures of each other. So, yeah.
41 years I've waited to sit in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon.
I know.
You know what? If I had known that and the fact that Chewbacca was there, I would have ditched every show I had that day.
I know. And yeah, I did miss you, because I did finally get a picture with Chewie. You know, I waited in line and it was just something missing, sweetie. It was you.
Your own personal scoundrel.
Yes.
So the first place you visited was the bar, because I saw your picture.
Uh-huh.
And then did you go to the cockpit?
I did. I got into the cockpit, and it's interesting because you don't actually sit down and scoot up to the console where you go to hyperspace. You sit down and the console is pushed to you.
You know what? Whatever gets you there.
I know. I mean, that was just their version of the Falcon, so it would work.
Yeah.
But I thought that was cute.
See, now I would want to go in from the door that leads into the cockpit.
Well, absolutely.
And then like swing yourself in.
Yeah.
Like you're one of the Duke boys, going over the hood of their General Lee car and into the seat.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm.
Just to give you more of a visual, the way Han Solo does in Solo, where he grabs onto that handle and throws himself into the seat.
Mm-hmm. That's so neat.
I just wanted a reason to reference Dukes of Hazzard.
Okay.
Now, you sat in the pilot seat, of course.
Of course. Yes. So I was in the cockpit once by myself, and I did miss you. And then once with Chewie, and I gave him like a high five, and then we went into hyperspace together. Like they do in the movie.
Oh, was it Joonas in the
I doubt
in a
it.
Wookiee costume?
No, it wasn't actually.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't him because he was taking interviews.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
if you were sitting down, was it Peter Mayhew?
Maybe.
If I found out right now that was Peter Mayhew, I am leaving this recording and not looking back.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sure it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All is good. We're sitting down here. So how big was this set?
Yeah, so like I said, it's about 2 containers worth.
But I mean, just for the cockpit, how big was the cockpit?
It's kind of hard to pinpoint because...
Use your car as a reference. Was it the size of the interior of your car?
I would say yes.
Okay. So not that big.
No, it wasn't that big.
But then again, neither was the actual set used in Solo. That was tiny.
Yeah, I would say it's about the seats of your car area, like the 4 seats.
Now, when you sat down, was it nostalgic? Was it spiritual? How did you feel?
I thought it was fun. I think because it wasn't the actual Falcon, it was this it didn't, you weren't walking up the Falcon landing ramp and into the Falcon cockpit. It was a facade. Right. So I didn't get that feeling. The Beauty and the Beast restaurant in Disney World? Right. When I walked in there, and you are like in the space that you've been seeing in this movie for years and years growing up with. I mean, you can't help it. The waterworks just come and you just start crying because you're like, oh my God, this is real. So that's what would happen if it really looked like the Millennium Falcon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there was the cockpit and Chewbacca, and there was the bar, and you said also the Jarek table?
Yes. And the couch.
Did they have little hologram chess pieces?
No. But they had it was all Landoized. So everything had those yellow cushions and it was very bright white and scrubbed.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
All right, so that was one of the attractions. What
Yes.
else? What else did you see there?
Okay, we also had an area where you could try on Lando's cape and take a little
Wait a minute.
take a little GIF.
That wasn't in the Millennium Falcon set itself?
No.
Oh, come on! Come on!
It was one of those, what do you call it, green screen
Right.
areas where they put you walking, like, with the cast and crew. And it was emailed to me, so I'll have to find that. But they took you in the green screen walking, like, 3 steps forward, and then they put it in a little GIF of you walking with the whole cast up, like a...
Oh, okay.
like
one of those John Ford
preview
movies.
thing. Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Where you see the whole cast walking
Yes.
up to the viewer.
And there I want to give a shout out to Katrina, who was right in front of me doing that, and she rocked Lando's cape. I just want to say.
Oh my God. I didn't know about that.
That was cool. And
do I want to know anymore?
And then, yes, you
What?
do. You move around finally to the left side of everything.
If you got to hold the DL-44 blaster,
Oh, no.
once again, I'll be leaving.
But there were all the screen used costumes.
Oh!
Enfys Nest.
See, it's a good thing I didn't know all this,
I'm
or I would have
sorry.
ditched out on all my shows. Yeah,
I
that's my
know.
work ethic right there.
Yeah. So you had Han Solo's outfit, you had Qi'ra's Corellian outfit, I believe. You had Enfys Nest, you had Lando's cape and everything. His whole outfit, of course. Let me see. Oh, yes, you had Tobias Beckett. His outfit was there. You also had Han's outfit, Tobias Beckett. Who else? It's Qi'ra.
Oh, Qi'ra in her nice leather skirt and a fur capelet.
Yeah. Oh, and you also have
Oh, Val.
Val's outfit as well.
Oh my goodness. All right. Oh, there's Dryden Voss's costume.
Yes.
We're looking at your iPhone pictures right now. Here's you and Chewie in the cockpit. Don't even want to look at that. But you know, I'm very happy for you.
Aww.
That is one happy little sweetie. Now get it away from me.
Oh.
I say that with love.
I know.
I really do. What they should have had was Dryden Voss's office.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to see all of those Easter eggs.
That would have been amazing.
That would have been really fun. So you got a chance to see up close the little Raiders of the Lost Ark, Fertility Tiki, and the Lost Legacy Crystal Skull, and the Mandalorian armor.
Mm-hmm. I would have loved that.
Maybe for the Solo sequel. Hope there's a Solo sequel. Hashtag that.
Exactly.
All right, so how much time did you spend walking around the Falcon and trying on capes, mixing drinks?
Probably a good hour and a half, I would say.
All right, so after you did all this amazing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
then what happened?
Then it was time for the press conference. So we were all gathered together to walk over to the press conference room where we got to see all the stars of Solo, A Star Wars Story.
Yeah, as well as Ron Howard, the director,
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence and John Kasdan, the writers.
Exactly. So you want to hear this rundown?
Yes,
Who
I
was there?
do. Who
All
else
right.
was there?
So we had Alden Ehrenreich, who is Han Solo, Donald Glover, who is, of course, Lando, Emilia Clarke, who plays Qi'ra, Paul Bettany, who is Dryden Voss, Woody Harrelson was there, Tobias Beckett, Thandie Newton, who plays Val, was there, Joonas Suotamo, who plays Chewbacca, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who is L337. So what we're going to do is we're going to play some fun bits and pieces from the press conference that we really enjoyed and then talk about what they said.
Yeah, one thing I really wanted to hear Alden Ehrenreich talk about was sitting in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. Because I think that's, as fans, that's the one part we were all waiting to see.
Yeah, it's really wild. It's really exciting. It's kind of bigger than you can even wrap your head around. And it's wonderful. It's particularly being in the Millennium Falcon is very, very cool. And very much like being in the cockpit. You know, you kind of get into the cockpit. For me, it was two things. One, you get in and you can't believe you're in it, and it's so surreal, and that's what everybody you bring to set wants to see, and they have that experience too. And then, you know, a couple months into shooting in it. You're inside of it, you're flying it, you know where the buttons are, you know how the chair feels, you know the yoke, and you feel like, okay, this is kind of like my ship now. And that is deeply gratifying.
Now, what is a bigger dream for Star Wars fans? Holding a lightsaber or sitting in the captain's chair of the Millennium Falcon?
Wow. I would say for me, sitting in the Falcon. Just because it's kind of an experience and that's you're in it, whereas you can hold toy lightsabers. You've done that before.
Well, okay. Well, let me go back and clarify that.
Okay.
If you could hold a screen-used lightsaber or sitting in the actual Millennium Falcon screen-used cockpit as a fan,
cockpit.
What would... Okay.
What about you?
This is a hard one. This is a very, very difficult question. You know what? I'm going to have to say sitting in the cockpit as well.
Nice.
All right. Just because you want to touch those buttons. You want to reenact some of those moments. And I think you would need to be in there for quite a while just because it would be a spiritual moment.
I agree.
Because all those films will be racing through your mind. And who sat here before me? Han, Lando, Leia... a porg. It would just be something that it would take a while to come to terms with. A lightsaber would be fine too, but it wouldn't have the blade, so you couldn't go hitting anything. It would just be the hilt, which would be fun, but there's only so much you can do while running around going with your mouth.
Exactly. And some of us can't even do that.
All right, so Skywalkers, what say you? Sitting in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon or holding a screen-used lightsaber? Tweet at us at SkywalkingPod. Now, Sarah, if you were Alden Ehrenreich, would you want to get right into that cockpit the first day of shooting, or would you want to wait? So, would you want to go in there before this scene was being shot, or would you hold off until the moment came?
I think I'd have to go in before to have a moment alone, just so I'd be able to be in character later. I think it's just, yeah. That's what I would do.
Okay. Yeah, I would want to wait. I don't want the suspense to build. And then when they got the shot of me walking into the cockpit, looking around in wonder, it would be an actual realistic emotion. Kind of like in the Goonies. When and all the kids popped up from underwater, they were all in the cave and they saw that pirate ship for the first time. Richard Donner, the director, wouldn't let anyone see that pirate ship until it was time to shoot that, just so they can get those kids immediate, realistic reactions.
Nice. I don't know what scene you're talking about, because I think I've only seen that movie once, but cool.
All right. I was appealing to all those nostalgic fans out there who like the Goonies.
Right.
All right, but let's go more on to Solo.
Yes. So the Millennium Falcon experience, by the way, is touring around the U.S., unfortunately not to Los Angeles. I'm sorry, sweetie.
Why?
I know.
Why not Los Angeles?
I don't know.
All right. Moving right along. Now, as we know, Solo was just fraught with challenges from one day to the next. No matter what they were doing, it was going to be a challenge, whether it was firing directors, hiring directors, getting the right actor, not getting the right actor, fans saying they don't want this movie, fans saying they do want this movie. It was just one big Enfys Nest full of conflict. And who had the biggest conflict on their shoulders but Alden Ehrenreich?
Yep.
He had to fill Harrison Ford's boots. And I'm sure that Alden felt that with every single take that was being shot. That's some pressure there. Now, how much of a relief was it knowing that his performance was received by approval by Harrison Ford? That is okay. What else can I do with my life now? Mm-hmm. I got the big thumbs up by Harrison Ford.
Yeah, in fact, here it is for all of us to hear as Harrison interview bombs Alden on Entertainment Tonight.
How about any specific advice or guidance specifically to the role of playing Han Solo?
Yeah. He said, if anyone asks, tell them I told you everything you need to know and that you're not allowed to say a word.
He might want to say one or two more things.
Oh my God.
Get out of my chair. Get out of my life.
Hi. How are you? Wow. Oh my God. That is awesome. Thanks for coming by.
Just in the neighborhood.
I'd love to hear some of your feedback, some of your reaction to watching this young man.
I just thought it was spectacular, and I thought he was so smart about what he did and how he did it. I just couldn't be happier.
Wow.
Come on, let that sink in for a second. What does that feel like to hear that?
It's pretty unbelievable.
And now here is Alden talking at the press conference about Harrison Ford's surprise visit.
This morning, an experience that was very unique.
Unbelievable. Oh my God. So I had lunch right before we started shooting, I wanted to talk to Harrison just to kind of pay respect and have him give us the blessing for the film. And so we had lunch, I guess, 2 years ago or something, and he was really encouraging and really supportive, and then we went off, shot the film and everything like that. And today I was doing an interview and they were talking about, is there anything else you'd like to ask him? Because he's, and I was like, well, I don't know. And they're like, well, you have your chance. And he was behind me and he came and just is so effusive about the movie. And it meant so much to me. And I know for Ron and Kathy and everybody, it's just such a huge deal to have him really genuinely love it. I really genuinely enjoy the film, and it meant a lot to me that he took the time to come out here and do that.
It's such a wonderful moment.
Yeah.
I am so happy to see that Harrison Ford is out there supporting Alden Ehrenreich and Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Coming down to the press junket and checking up on Alden. Usually his motivation is always being paid. Whenever you ask him,
Harrison Ford?
Why did you do this? Well, I got paid. Well, I got paid. My one biggest pet peeve when talking to actors. Why did you do this? Well, I got paid. Yeah. But I think he came down to the press conference just because it was the right thing to do.
Right. And now, unfortunately, we didn't see him there, but apparently that had just happened when we all arrived.
Right.
It's like, Now,
to see Han Solo before and after with both actors, priceless.
Mm-hmm.
Just priceless.
Yeah, and I'd be pretty speechless too, just like Alden.
Can you imagine if Harrison Ford did show up at the very end?
Oh, that would have been so amazing.
Right.
Wow.
But as we know, Alden wasn't the only one to feel the performance pressure.
Definitely.
And I'm sure Joonas Suotamo felt he had to get every single mannerism of Chewbacca correctly, since his part was so much bigger than what he had done in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Now, here's Joonas talking about playing Chewbacca and giving Wookiee hugs.
Anytime you're in the Chewie costume, it doesn't matter who people are, they want a Wookiee hug. It's got to be kind of like amazing to be this incredibly loved character.
Yes, I mean, it's just something that I really, when I got to know that I had a chance, and then when I got to know that I was going to be playing this character, I really couldn't sleep at night, and I was so excited because this was a life changer for me. I was borderline jobless when I got this role. My now fiance, my then girlfriend, have seen me going from living with my mom to becoming Chewbacca. That's the span of our relationship. And she says I've been like this the whole time. It's just now that this behavior suits me. It's funny because this character is so loved, and Peter Mayhew, who created this character along with George Lucas, has been so instrumental in giving me his blessing and giving me some tips in our week-long session together how to be this character, and seeing him.
You went to a Chewie boot camp.
Exactly, yeah. And the tickets were all sold out, but I was able to squeeze in regardless, and it was fun because I never could have understood what went on underneath the mask of Peter Mayhew. And now that I got to know that, it was so easy going into shooting this film, which is so much about Han and Chewie and everyone, that it was so important to get right for this film.
Well, it was absolutely amazing to watch. It was an unbelievable performance, and it really is. It's more of a Chewie movie than any Star Wars movie has ever been.
Whoa.
He does that really well.
He does.
That was actually Joonas making those Wookiee sounds.
Yes, it was. And oh my goodness, I love that. And I actually heard that Alden and Joonas would be rehearsing a scene in the cockpit of the Falcon, and Alden would be, like trying to memorize his lines, and Joonas would be like, yeah, I think I say wrong here. As he's responding to like Alden trying to memorize. But yeah, he must have done that. He must have done that a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Who didn't grow up making Wookiee sounds? But
I'm a girl. I don't make sounds as much.
that was good, sweetie.
No, it was terrible.
No, it was good. It was very, very good. But I love his story about sleeping on his mom's couch, and the next day, you're Chewbacca.
Yeah.
It just shows you that life can turn around at the most unexpected times.
Yes.
That should be a lesson to anyone. Never give up hope, because tomorrow you could be BB-8. Tomorrow you could be Chief Jawa number 1. You could be Chewbacca the Wookiee.
Woohoo!
What an amazing story. And I'm sure his fiance is like, you ain't going nowhere. We're getting married now.
Well, he's got a career for life.
Yeah. If not playing Wookiees, then going to conventions.
Yep. Exactly.
I thought he was an amazing Chewbacca in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Even though he didn't get much to do in The Last Jedi, I really thought he was great. Whereas Peter Mayhew, he had the right head turns like a dog, and he didn't really do much. I think maybe
in which movie?
In the first 3 Star Wars films. But I really think that Joonas brought a whole lot more to the role of Chewbacca than Peter Mayhew. And I think that Joonas had a lot, 41 years, or let's say 38 years up until The Force Awakens, to really develop off of and springboard off what Peter Mayhew did.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So he had that benefit. Peter Mayhew was like, I'm being directed by a man who hates giving direction.
And he was creating a character as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Peter Mayhew does have the perfect Wookiee walk.
Yes.
And the perfect Wookiee head turn. But I guess the scene that really pops out in my head is when, in The Last Jedi, when Chewbacca bursts into Luke's hut and gives it that big giant Wookiee growl with his arms flailing out.
Yeah.
That was just a great Chewbacca moment.
Oh.
And even in Solo, there were so many... there were so many scenes, like when they were at the hollow chess table.
Okay.
And Chewie's trying to figure out what these little hollow pieces are. He's trying to hit them and swat them.
Yeah, that was adorable.
I mean, his reactions were just so dog-like. When dogs are trying to figure something out, they just keep staring until they can get it right. And he had that down perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think of Jonas's portrayal of Chewbacca versus Peter Mayhew?
I mean, for me, it's really hard to tell the difference almost, which is a good thing, I think, just because they blend so well. But my favorite part, at least in Solo, was when Chewie was kind of describing his age and then just matter-of-factly takes over the co-pilot's seat during the Kessel Run. He just reaches up and moves over, and there he is, taking the helm, and it was like he'd done that 1,000 times before. Right.
Now, you can always tell the two actors because Jonas's legs are a little bit shorter than Peter Mayhew's.
Really?
Yeah. If you look at the costume, it might be the costume, but during some of those long shots of Chewbacca in Solo, I kept thinking, wow, he's got a long torso, but shorter legs, which is something odd to say about someone who's over 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
But Peter Mayhew's legs are really long.
Huh. Okay.
So the next time you see it, look at his legs.
I will.
All right, moving right along.
Yes. Ooh, so maybe instead of talking about some of the good guys, should we head over and talk about the bad guys?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Definitely, yeah. Now, I don't know about you, but I never thought much of Paul Bettany as an actor since I wasn't too familiar with his work other than the Vision in Avengers. Mm-hmm. And it was hard to see any range with Vision because he was an AI character.
Yeah, and he was all good, too.
Right. But after seeing Solo, I am now fully on the Bettany bandwagon because his portrayal of Voss was just so pure and simple and I loved it.
Yeah, I think you liked him too much. That was cute. Well, should we hear what Paul Bettany has to say about playing the bad guy?
Oh, let's.
And it was just lovely to play somebody having, come from Avengers where Vision is fundamentally good, just as somebody who's just deliciously bad and really okay with it. Just no neurosis, no guilt, just super happy about being evil.
And it is, when you bring it back to like the fun, like all of these characters are definitely having fun in their own way, and I think that's the creepiest thing about Dryden is he's having a lot of fun.
Oh, sure, he's really good at hurting people. And, some people are really good at piano or whatever, and you got to practice, right?
Deliciously bad. I think that's the best way of describing Dryden Voss.
He's just okay with being evil. He's happy with that. Whereas most characters think they're good, but what they're doing is actually evil. But in their own minds, like, hey, I've got to get this accomplished, and this is the way I'm going to do it.
What did you think about that? Because I know, like, say, let's talk about Black Panther, where you had Killmonger,
yeah,
right?
Eric Killmonger.
Eric Killmonger, and you could really get behind why he's doing what he's doing.
Oh, even Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
Both characters, I think, really embody that situation perfectly because both characters, they want the best. Anakin, Darth Vader, wanted peace and justice throughout the galaxy, but his way of getting there was just so malicious. Eric Killmonger and Black Panther, same thing. Hey, this is my territory of Wakanda. I want to protect my territory. You guys cannot come in and take what is ours. This is our power source. It belongs to us.
That makes them well-rounded bad guys. Do you think Dryden is a well-rounded bad guy or is just,
he's two-dimensional and he's happy about it.
Okay.
I think it just worked.
Okay.
I think that's one of the reasons why I loved him because he was just so okay with what he was doing.
Right.
No bones about it. And I equated him with Hannibal Lecter.
Okay.
From Silence of the Lambs. Mm-hmm. Because Hannibal is very at ease. He's always so much further ahead in what is going on.
Right.
So, hey, Clarice Starling, if you're on step number 2, I'm on step number 8.
Right.
And same with Dryden. He's so much further ahead than everybody else.
Is he, though?
Yes.
I mean, I think he's very instinctual.
Yes.
Okay.
I think, and he just lays it all on the table. Mm-hmm. And he knows who to trust, who not to trust, and who never to trust, which is pretty much everybody. So I think he's always way ahead. Like when Qi'ra and Han came in, he was way ahead of that situation because he'd already set up the fact that, hey, Tobias, you go wait in the hallway, wait for your cue.
Right.
So while Han and Qi'ra are constantly lying to him,
exactly,
he's way ahead.
Right.
Okay, maybe not 8 steps, maybe 6 steps ahead. But still, he was way ahead of the situation.
Okay.
And you've just got to love that.
Yeah, my favorite thing about him is actually his face stripes. And I think to me, those aren't scars. I think those are actually part of his whatever alienness,
his genetic makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got the Solo Visual Dictionary, and it says that he is part human.
Okay, good. So those are definitely like alien things.
Right, but it doesn't tell you what those scars represent or what they are, or if those scarring just represent that race.
Well, yeah, I think what they are is something as part of his race, because when I just noticed, like, as a human, you blush when things are happening, like, when you get what's the word?
Bashful.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Or embarrassed or something, you blush. Well, when he's killing someone, his emotions make those scars like stand out more, those facial stripes.
You know what? I did notice his eyes were more bloodshot in those scenes. I didn't notice his facial scarring
they
or
stand
stripes.
out. Yeah,
okay, all right.
They stand out more. It's really cool.
Oh, no.
Or when he's got mad when he knew that Qi'ra was lying to him.
We'll have to see it a 5th time.
They would stand out more.
To really notice this.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. So now, during the press conference, I was in the front row. And I was sitting right across from Lawrence and John Kasdan, as well as Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And what I love to hear during these press conferences, whether it's an animated film or a live action, is I love to hear from the creators. So either the writers or the directors. So let's hear from Lawrence and John Kasdan about how long this story was bubbling around in their heads. And since they sound so similar to each other, first we'll hear from Lawrence and then John chimes in, just so you guys know.
Was this a story that had been bubbling sort of in your head for a while, or did you sit down and create it fresh together?
Well, the story hadn't been bubbling for a long time. What had been bubbling for me was from the moment when I was relatively young and I first saw Han Solo in the cantina. And I immediately sparked to him. He lifted up the whole movie instantly, and I loved the movie. But at that moment I thought, oh, this movie's just got me. This is the kind of character that I have loved always, and it's been so important in all the movies that I care about. This is a character who's reckless, who's cynical, who doesn't trust anybody, who's a little bit stupid. I love that. He just does things he shouldn't do. He gets in over his head instantly, and you can see that in the brilliance of George Lucas's cantina scene. It's just a few minutes, and you get everything about who this guy is.
And I think he wanted me to write it with him because I am all those things. It was funny because Larry had decided to get involved in Star Wars based on Han. That was the movie he wanted to make first. He got pulled into Force Awakens. And when he came out, he said, I need somebody to do this with me. And I was sort of the obvious choice for the above reasons, but also because I shared a deep love of this, and I came at it from a totally different place than Larry did. I had grown up with Star Wars. I'd grown up playing with the toys. And we thought that somehow between our two dynamics, between me as a fan and him as an older Jedi Master, we could figure out some sort of dynamic where we could forge a story that felt both sort of contemporary and true to the spirit of Solo.
How surreal is that to be playing with toys from a movie your dad wrote?
That's so cool.
That is so much fun. Hey, Dad, come over here for a second. I'm in the Cantina playset.
Yeah. Can you help me with this?
I'm in the Hoth attack base, and I can't figure out what the snowtroopers are going to do next. Do they fire? Do they retreat? Do the rebels get away? But let's take a step back here. Han has always gotten a reputation for being stupid. Do you think he's stupid?
No.
I don't think he's stupid at all. Harrison Ford would always say, Han is dumb as a lump.
Yeah.
Dumb as a tree stump.
No, you know what? I think the book Most Wanted really dives into his character and tells what he really is that he's an instinct guy. Like he works on instinct, and sometimes that gets him into situations that he has to then get himself out of by talking his way out.
And that's exactly how I feel. He's more reactionary, more impulsive.
Yes.
He may not know as much as he thinks he knows,
right?
But he'll just figure out what is what as he goes along.
Right.
Kind of like what Indiana Jones says. I'll make it up as I go along.
Yes.
Han Solo is the same way because he's got, like what you said, he's got so much street smarts
that
he's going to figure it out as he goes along. And Han knows this.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Qi'ra, of course, is more methodical and thinks and plans ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, now we've read Most Wanted and it's like, oh, their characters are very clear in that book.
Yeah, Han is more of a bulldozer. Like in that scene with Enfys Nest at the end of Solo, when Tobias is trying to work his way through it, Han just steps in.
Yeah.
He messes it up.
He does.
I've got 30 hired guns. All I got to do is give him the signal, and they'll be right. Oh, where are they going?
Yeah. Whoops.
They not always work in his favor.
And then he steps back.
You know what? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it was a very smart move if Lando hadn't taken off at that moment.
Yes.
I don't know what his next step would have been.
Right.
So he may not be as smart as he thinks he is, but he makes things happen, and he knows he'll always get through it.
And, you know, he's going to be one of those people walking with a clipboard onto sets he shouldn't be in because people will let him.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, I don't know.
Just because I had lunch with a Star Trek group, walked on the bridge of the Enterprise, some Next Generation, just because I held a clipboard and a walkie-talkie while walking onto that Paramount Pictures set.
All right, we're even now.
Did I tell you I used to see Picard walking around the set? Yeah, as a little backstory here, I used to work over at Paramount Pictures, and I would just walk onto different film sets. And the more they said restricted area, the more I'd want to go onto these sets. And I found out if you're carrying a clipboard and have a walkie-talkie, which I got from the production office I was working in.
And walk with purpose.
Walk with purpose. Yep. People will let you do whatever you want to do. And believe me, those Klingons, they could eat like no one's business.
I
Those
bet.
guys were always hungry.
All right, well, let's get back to Solo here.
I can't believe I'm the one taking a tangent on Star Trek.
I know. Really? Okay. So I just love in general that there are different viewpoints that were involved in the inception of Solo. You know, you had like the old guard and the new guard, and they're finding their way together. So I really enjoy that. And once again, we have a Star Wars fan who's working on Star Wars, which is awesome.
You're talking about Lawrence passing it to John?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, I love that. And what's interesting is during this press conference, I was super impressed by John Kasdan. Like, he just had a great answer for everything. Just very, and the way he spoke as well was just very smart. You could tell that he thinks a lot about this.
And we had a conversation with John Kasdan, and he was very, very nice to answer all of our questions.
Yeah, on Twitter. Yeah, that was fun.
But now you asked a question at the press conference, which I feel was the best question of all.
Aw.
Yes, in the front row.
Hi, this is Sarah from Skywalking Through Neverland, and I had a question for Phoebe and perhaps the Kasdans. And there's a line in the movie where Lando says to L3, you know, oh, can I get you anything else? And L3 says, equal rights. And I think that's one of the most hilarious lines in the film because it's not only a commentary on what L3's character is, but it's a commentary on today. And so I wondered, did you come up with that?
Yes.
Or was that a line that
That is Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Love it. Yeah, you guys set that up perfectly, though.
No, I mean, it's a real treat to work with everyone on this panel, but it's to be able to sort of write situations and then have performers and writers in their own right who can contribute a better idea on top of what you've created is a big part of it, you know, and it makes us look good and it makes everybody feel good, you know, because there is always a way that these things can be enriched and made more on point with what it's supposed to be about, and that is a perfect example of something that just feels totally true to her character and to what we want it to feel like, you know.
So after I asked my question, I realized I had asked kind of a yes or no question, which isn't the best thing to ask at a press conference.
Very dangerous, but you pulled it off.
Well, I did, and it got a round of applause. At least Phoebe's got a round of applause, and then John.
No. They were applauding you.
Okay, yes. Okay. But then John Kasdan, you know, he answered the question in the best way possible. So I think it's great, and his answer really rounded out why film is such a collaborative medium in general.
Do you know what is missing on DVD bonus extras?
What?
Wait, do we still call them DVDs now, or are they?
You just keep calling them DVDs.
Blu-rays? Are they
Blu-rays.
videotape?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, you know what I mean.
The
On
digital version.
The digital release bonus features.
The home version.
I want to see all the takes it took to get to the line or moment you saw in the film. What I wanted to see in The Last Jedi were the takes before Luke threw the lightsaber over his shoulder.
Oh.
Because you know there had to have been alternate versions of that.
Huh.
I don't believe that over-the-shoulder movement was the first idea.
Okay.
So like this here, Phoebe Waller-Bridge said that it was something that came out.
Right.
I wanted, what were the lines that led up to that?
Yeah, or what was originally written. That's what I should have asked.
Yeah, that. Or going back to the alternate takes, in The Empire Strikes Back, there was some takes shot of Han Solo after Princess Leia said, "I love you." Him saying, "Remember that because I'll be back."
Oh,
there was some takes of that. I want to see like a whole succession of those until we get to the moment in the film.
Okay.
That's what I want to see.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, and yeah, like you just said, what were the alternate takes of her line reading?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think she could have said?
Oh, goodness.
Lando says, "Can I get you anything?" Maybe she says, "More Clint Howard."
A droid companion?
Don't kill me off. Anything. It would have been really, really funny.
Well, okay, so this brings us to an interesting question. Characters on the page versus actors bringing them to life. What do you think is more important or most important?
It all really depends.
Yeah.
That's a loaded question because it's good to have the actor flesh out his or her character and how it feels like Han Solo. He saw that line in The Empire Strikes Back. It's like, Han would never say, "Remember that because I'll be back." That's not a Han Solo line. And look what they came up with.
Right.
But then again, Lord and Miller trying to improv their way through a Lawrence Kasdan script, that's not always going to work.
No. So I guess, you need both. You really need both. But it is the actor's job to bring to life something that's just written on the page.
And for Phoebe Waller-Bridge, luckily for her, her improv moment worked out and she didn't get fired.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about another really important female in the cast of Solo: A Star Wars Story. And that is Val, played by Thandie Newton.
Yes, and she was wearing this beautiful yellow outfit at the press conference. She totally stood out. Like, my eyes kept being drawn right to her. So, now, she is a big Star Wars fan. She's around your age, Richard. I think she's like maybe 2 years older. I believe she said she's...
Finally, someone who's older.
But she has a deep love of Star Wars, and she actually displayed this during her press tour of the film. She even had Vivienne Westwood Couture make her a multi-$1,000 custom dress.
That was such a great series, too. That's Westworld. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
But she had a custom dress made from pictures of Star Wars action figures, black characters in the universe. So she had this dress for Cannes Film Festival. It's a Vivienne Westwood fabric, and she had a photographer take pictures of her black action figures. So you see Lando.
Someone call Ashley Eckstein.
I know.
Why are they not merchandising this? You saw Guerrera, Finn.
It's custom Vivienne Westwood Couture made of the house's Absence of Roses print overlaid with black Star Wars characters from Finn to Lando to Saw Gerrera. So she had a photographer take pictures of the action figures, and then those photos were put on this silk print into a wearable gown.
Wow, sure enough, those are action figures.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Where's Mace Windu?
I don't know, it might be on the back of her dress.
Where's that Mos Eisley extra? Who was the very first African-American seen in Star Wars.
Oh, nice.
Yes, he walked by the land speeder twice. As Luke and Obi-Wan are pulling up to the cantina. You see in the background, the cutaway, they cut back to Luke, and there he is again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, well, my point is that Thandie Newton is a big Star Wars fan, and she had the opportunity to bring her 2-year-old son to set.
I remember there was the first day I went on set, and I had my son with me, and he was 2 years old, and he didn't know anything about Star Wars. He's 2, right? But we were in this amazing set. It was extraordinary. And I was chatting with the crew and stuff, and my kid just started to walk away, and we watched where he was going. And he was walking towards R2-D2. And everyone kind of moved to the side, and my kid just walked over, and the guy that was operating R2-D2, the remote control, saw my son and knew it was my kid, and started to make R2-D2 kind of chat to my kid, but not in language, in R2-D2 speak. And my son would kind of gabble back, and R2 gabbled to him, and then it ended, I kid you not, with my son hugging R2-D2. And that was the first impression my son has had of that character of Star Wars. But what I mean is, this is the stuff that dreams are made of. My little boy doesn't know about anything to do with Star Wars, but these characters have a kind of magnetism that is unparalleled. I mean, for all of us, when we were kids, I was 7 when the first movie came out. I'll never forget it. That scroll of white going into black, John Williams' music. It was... This stuff imprints on your psyche, So, I mean, that's just, I think that it goes so far beyond even us as filmmakers, just the stuff that dreams are made of, really.
All right, I have something in my eye. No, her speech, it makes me tear up.
Oh, it's very, very heartfelt. But a couple of points I want to make. First, she was 7 when Star Wars came out.
Oh, okay.
I was 8, which
oops.
makes me older.
Uh-oh.
But now, quid pro quo, Clarice. So many Silence of the Lambs references on this show. But now, you tell me one of your points after hearing that.
One of my points? What do you mean?
You said that you had a little something in your eye. Something's making you tear up. What about what she just said made you tear up?
Oh, just her whole thing, how Star Wars has this pull. Like, her son didn't even know anything about the film, and yet he's like entranced by these characters that he doesn't know anything about.
How did the crowd react when she said that her son saw R2-D2? Because at that point, we had seen the film once because it just opened the day before. Maybe someone like Patrick Pine had already seen it 28 times at that point. But R2 and 3PO weren't in Solo.
Right.
So how was the crowd's reaction? We're like, hey, did we miss something? Was R2-D2 in Solo?
No, I think... we were all just listening to what she was saying. I mean, a little red flag went up in my head, like, oh, maybe she doesn't know that it wasn't R2-D2. Maybe it was another droid. Well, even though R2 wasn't in Solo, they probably brought him along for a set visit.
Which would make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, if it maybe like Friends and Family Day or something. If her son was there.
And bring your droid.
Yes. Yeah, bring your droid. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that would have really set the fans off. What? Setting the fans off?
What?
If they had gotten a picture of R2 on the set of Solo.
Oh, what a way to start a rumor.
Right. But I think if what you just said, they had brought kids, the actors' kids, of course they're going to bring R2-D2 to the set.
Yeah.
So I think that's what she's referring to. But it just made it sound like R2 was maybe in the film, or it could have been just another astromech droid.
Right.
Like we had said at our initial roundtable that I know that I did see some blue astromech droids in the Imperial Outpost.
Right.
I'm not sure why they would have used blue, because that would have just confused everybody. So it could have either been that, but I think it was more of a set visit.
Right. Or like the droid rebellion scene, but she wasn't in that scene, so...
Right, but she could have visited the set, but... Yeah.
As we know, Dee Tails got to visit lots of different sets.
Exactly. So those were some of the highlights from the Solo press conference, but sweetie, if they want to see the whole press conference in its entirety, where do they go?
They should head over to our YouTube channel, where we have the entire press conference there. It's a video taken from the front row, and it also features sound that we grabbed right from the mixer. So it's a great way to listen and watch the press conference. So head over to youtube.com/Skywalking Through Neverland. All right, now let's move on to the second part of our discussion with solo creature performer Dee Tails. Not only did he play Quay Tolsite in the Spice Mines of Kessel scenes, but he also played a few other characters we didn't even know about until this very conversation.
And we play a rousing game of Did You, where we'll find out if he did certain things while on the Solo set. All right, so now we're going to pick up in our conversation where Dee tells us what a surreal experience this whole journey has been. We saw you in the credits, in the actual cast credits.
Yes,
like, hey, there's our friend Dee. There's Dee. So we were very proud of you.
Oh, bless you so much. It's such a it's still a very, very surreal experience. And I remember I was getting very, very teary the night before, even the screening, because I knew that I was going to have to be present, because they have to steal the spice from someone. And the fact that everything had built up to this whole year had been building up to this performance of this one character. That was the last one that I was given, so I didn't even know that I was going to be playing this character until quite late on. And for it to start turning into what it became, it wasn't just a creature, it was a Pyke. It wasn't just a Pyke, it was a Pyke that ran the minds of Kessel, and then you go into understanding how Kessel comes into play. But then in the myth and the lore of Star Wars and Han Solo, And the Falcon, you understand about this Kessel Run, and to have any specific association to that specific Kessel Run, it's beyond anything, because once the movie comes out and it's been made, it's cemented. That is canon. That is the Kessel Run he's referring to. That's what happened. There's nothing vague about it. Those are the people that were in play. When I'm watching the movie and they're talking about Crimson Dawn and they're talking about the Pikes, you got to understand that Crimson Dawn, okay, they're going to be upset about Dryden Voss, but the Pikes are going to be pretty damn pissed that their spice mines has been raided again, because it's a regular thing that happens, right? So there's a possibility, if there are sequels, of actual pure Pikes, untainted by any gases or anything like that, could possibly appear. But to be the first on the screen associated to the ones in the Clone Wars, it's beyond an honor. And I told Ron it was an honor working with him. It's I don't know. I get lost for words when I try and internalize it like that, because it's such a huge dream to have, let alone to be a part of in this way. Because having it revealed later on, it's almost like you're delaying my buzz, because it's like, no, don't get too excited just now, Dee. All right, yeah, we've got this other character for to play or whatever, cool. And I'm like, okay. And then there's a slow release of information, like, that's a what? That's who? I'm a part of what? And it slowly builds. And then I'm on set. I was watching the monitor, trying to keep an eye out for my own performance, because I hadn't seen myself in the suit. And so I see myself coming out of the doorway, and then I get distracted because I see Jimmy V walking out of a friggin' wall in a gonk droid. Oh, right? And then after I've done that, it's like, okay, Dee, back on set. And I forgot that I was watching it, trying to watch myself. But there were just so many moments like that, and you're a part of it, and you get to work with the most amazing people. It's just incredible.
Now, on Wikipedia, it says that Quay actually died in that scene after Qi'ra had kicked his butt.
Yeah, he's dead. He did.
Oh.
Yeah, she had stuck something in his chest.
My keys. She pulls my keys out of my chest.
Oh, that's what it. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't get that before, but holy buckets.
Yeah. Wow, what a very ironic ending.
Yes.
When you saw Jimmy V on set, did you think, oh, if Jimmy V is here, he must be playing R2-D2 again, and maybe R2 and 3PO will be in the film?
Well, no, I didn't. Because I'm creatures, I didn't really keep myself that separate from the rest of the gang, and it's quite lonely, If you're like, ooh, I have my easy up, ooh, let me just wait for my part, and look, I'm like, no, those are my people, And so hanging out with them and stuff like that, I know what they're working on. I'm chatting to the puppeteers and everything like that, and talking to them about what they're doing and funny things that I'm noticing around the set. So you find out what they're being tasked to do and what section they're looking after and who's doing what. I was quite involved in understanding what was happening in that whole place, in that whole sequence.
Yeah, because that was the biggest question going into Solo. Will R2 and 3PO make an appearance? But you knew when we last talked to you.
Yeah,
you knew last year.
I didn't know because you know how they work it. It'll be a private shoot or something like that, a quiet little thing, and then he pops up into the movie. Oh, there it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew on Rogue One that they were in it. Yeah, I had no word on their appearance or anything in this one.
I'm glad they didn't throw R2 and 3PO in there, because it would have just felt wedged in like Rogue One. It just felt like they were...
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Where can we put R2 and 3PO? Let's put them in here and hope it makes sense.
Yeah, and this one, it kind of wouldn't have made sense.
No.
But it's nice. I mean, even with the massive Easter egg right at the end, the way that they tell these stories or the way that they load things up, whether it's with something that's being said or something you get a glimpse of, it's always possible. It's never impossible for them not to do that. But also, I'm under the impression. I'm under the impression that 3PO and R2 are the storytellers of the Skywalker sagas.
Right.
having no association to Han and anybody else from maybe a possible standalone movie. But specifically for Han, there is no reason for them to be there unless you're hinting at something to come later on that he's going to possibly encounter. Yeah, it's something like that. But it made sense for them not to be in this one.
Maybe 3PO's line in Star Wars will be sent to the spice mines of Kessel, smash into who knows what. Maybe he knows that from experience. Maybe he's already been there. And he was just going, I don't want to go back there again. So maybe we could have justified it.
Yeah, he wasn't too happy when he mentioned it. You know?
Yeah.
A dreaded place, you know?
Yeah, and even if we saw 3PO watching another droid getting smashed into who knows what, and then now that line in Star Wars would have made a whole lot more sense.
We could have cute.
Yeah, we could have
But why was he there?
We could have placed it.
Yeah.
3PO's all over the place. Have you ever seen the animated series Droids? He's got several masters.
I have not.
But then again, well, this takes place right before Rebels, so we don't really know of this small time frame. So he could have been sent to the spice mines of Kessel.
Or he could have been a attaché of somebody important visiting the spice mines of Kessel. You know, so he may have paid it a visit and was glad that he wasn't actually kept there.
Right, yeah, that's a good point. And then seeing the droid getting smashed.
Right.
So perfect.
See, and I loved that moment with L3 explaining how she couldn't communicate with that little droid. I think that was Warwick in that red and white droid. Couldn't communicate with the droid because he had his restraining bolt on. Yeah. You know, and you know, I don't know, go for your friends or something. But then it's the little cuts of them being freed or whatever.
I know.
Watching that droid rebelling was the most adorable thing ever.
Mm-hmm. Until finally it like culminates, like that one droid just walking on the keypads and stuff. It's so funny. It just escalates each shot you see back. So funny.
But then when we were filming it, that adorability, it was all there. You know, these little droids, and they're little walking models and things like that, and they're skittering across. There's not much they could do other than like woohoo. It was so sweet.
For such a heavy sequence, that added the right level of levity.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You know, and I think that's the main part of the balance of this movie. It's family, it's summer box office, you know, it's entertainment. Mm-hmm. And luckily it's one of those movies that you don't have to watch all the Star Wars movies to get into it. It's easy enough to follow. But it was just enjoyable. And there's loads of parts where I was just giggling and looking at how people were referring to things like when Lando says, "What are you doing with Harry and the boy?" You know?
Yeah. I think this is the first Star Wars film where you don't have to see any of the other films.
No.
And it all falls into place very perfectly. Like with Rogue One, even though it's a standalone, it still helps to know why they're going out to the Death Star plant and what that eventually leads into.
That's
I think maybe even not seeing Star Wars would help new fans because then they're not judging Alden Ehrenreich to Harrison Ford. So that's a good point, Dee, that this is the first film that really stands on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also you have the questions. It's nice because at the end, regardless of whether people are aware of Phantom Menace or not, they have the same questions like, who was that at the end? Oh, it's Darth Maul. Darth Maul, and you find, and it's like you understand that certain people don't know the animations, so they're like, how did that happen? How is he back or whatever? And it's going to take a few watchings for them to actually spot his mechanical lower half.
Yeah,
you know?
That's a good point. But talking to some fans who don't know about Darth Maul, they just figured it was some evil presence. They didn't have to know it was Darth Maul. It really helps that you know it's Darth Maul. But if you don't know it's him, you just figured, okay, Qi'ra's up to something, and she's talking to this hooded figure, and we know that trouble is looming.
Yeah,
knowing it's Maul helps, but if you don't know it, the scene still plays out that Qi'ra it has another side to her.
That's right. Yeah, and then that relationship between Han and Qi'ra, I loved it. And especially when she met up with him again on Dryden's yacht. You know, there was you could. That was the most amazing thing about Emilia. Like before she shot that, she might have been cool. She might have been chatting or laughing away or whatever. And then it's time to switch it on, and she's right there. She's right there in the moment, and you can see that what she's saying one thing, and her heart is saying something else. And she maintains that performance when she's in those scenes with Alden and communicating with Alden. Mm-hmm. And I love it because it's nothing obvious, but it's so subtle that it slowly gets to that point. It slowly gets to that build, and her life in those 2 or 3 years that they were apart really did go in the wrong direction. And maybe it was at first to save her own skin.
Oh yeah, she's a survivor.
Yes, and I can't imagine it ending well. But
I know.
No, if Maul's involved, it never ends well for anybody.
Yeah. So what was it like when Ron Howard took over from Lord and Miller?
My thoughts when Ron came on board was that hopefully I was like, this guy is just absolutely amazing and he gets this Star Wars stuff so well. I hope they give him his own Star Wars movie to direct from start to finish, as opposed to coming on halfway through, I don't know if that's something that would ever happen, but you have those kind of thoughts, and also when you're thinking about, I can see how this could extend beyond the expectations of everybody today, and how it will facilitate George's dream. Little did he ever know, I guess, that he would turn into like a Gene Roddenberry person, and these movies and stories would just go on and on and on the way that he had always expected them to.
And Ron Howard having George Lucas just a phone call away, he'd be a great choice. And I really do hope they continue the Solo stories, because there's still so much to tell. And I do hope they bring Ron Howard back. And I really hope there's a sequel to Solo, even though the title wouldn't make sense. Solo 2.
What if they did the sequels like, first one is Solo, and then part 2 is Lando?
Right. Now, you know what? What did you think of Alden Ehrenreich when you were watching him on set? Because during that big shootout at the Spice Mines of Kessel, Sarah and I just kept looking at each other like, this is so Han Solo. The way he's holding his blaster,
the
way
we got
he's
the goosebumps.
standing. It's like, this guy is Han Solo. Was that directed by Ron Howard? Was that directed by Lord and Miller? And when you were watching that, did you think, yep, Alden Ehrenreich is the guy?
That was Ron. It wasn't watching that convinced me he was the guy. It was his composure throughout the entire filming process. Yeah, I got talking to him on and off and things like that, and he's really, really nice. And he knew. When I said hi, whatever, he goes, "Oh, you were in Maz's castle." I was like, "Yeah." But I didn't stop to ask how he knew that or whatever. But he was very approachable, and everybody will tell you this, that he sits there and he reads. He just reads these books and things like that. Just his unwavering knowledge of how to deliver this character. I never saw him in doubt of a performance. I saw him give several takes of, you see that freighter ship down there? It's got 30 hired guns. Yeah. I saw various takes of that because I'm in that sequence.
Oh, are you one of the Cloud Riders?
Yes. Yes.
You are? Which Cloud Rider are you? Oh my goodness. I didn't know this.
There is an image of Han which came out quite early on where he stood just, like this, and there is this lizard face guy stood there. That's me.
Are you Lizard Face, the Cloud Rider?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! You were holding out on this.
But I saw him do various takes and things, and he kept it fresh for himself every single time. And he had really good chemistry between Emilia and Woody, and there is this photo of him and Chewbacca walking toward camera, and this is when they're near the end when they're going to see Enfys Nest. Watching them film that and the wind blowing the sand, and it's sweeping across Alden, it's sweeping across Han, and it's blowing Chewie's fur, and goosebumps again. That's one of the most Star Warsy things I've witnessed, I've seen. The pair were inseparable. The pair are Chewie and Han. You know, at no point did I have any doubt that this was a young Harrison Ford.
Wow. He's had the hardest job, I think, of any actor in motion picture history of filling the boots of Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm.
He had to have felt that pressure on set. It doesn't look like it. Watching him in the film, it doesn't look like there's any stress or pressure on his face.
Han Solo or Superman, really?
Yes. But listen, when you're on a Star Wars set and you all have your jobs to do and so on and so forth, you're very much aware that this is a family thing. Yeah? Not like it's being made for families, we know that. But as a Star Wars family, you know you're all there to make sure everybody can do the best job that they can. Any support, any rehearsals that he may need that's extra, whatever that involves, any creatures and things like that, he was going to get that, you know, and he wasn't going to get it from people like, oh yeah, I don't really think he's Han Solo, do you? Oh, no. I'm in that scene anyway. No, you weren't going to get that, you know, because if Lucasfilm tell me that's young Han Solo, that's young Han Solo. Like I said, if I'm watching a movie and Lucasfilm say, this is the story you're getting, I'm like, that's the story I'm getting, right? You know?
Right.
It was amazing. It was amazing to see him in the film transition between all of these emotions and these scenes and things like that. Because on set, I have no idea that they're filming an army sequence. I have no idea that they're filming a mud thing where he meets Chewie. No, I saw a few early clips of that. But everything else is kind of kept from us, which is nice, so that when you go and see these movies, we're seeing it entirely for the first time. But it's kind of like with a film shoot that goes on for so long, I was getting to see more scenes, or I was in more scenes than normal. So I kind of had a vague idea about most of it rather than the internal plot, you know? So I'm like, at some point we end up here in this desert, which was Ventura. And it was epic. They built this stuff, you know, and you had these pylon things. And the furthest one was a mile away, but they built it and put it there. And there was one, you know, we were filming one evening just before they wrapped, and me and Sarah Lawrence, who's responsible for making sure everything gets photographed correctly for the books and everything or whatever, we sat there and watched this sunset come in, and there was nothing more Tatooine about it. It wasn't Tatooine, but it was Star Wars, you know, and we're surrounded by props, the swoop bikes. Oh, I had to sit on one for the whole day. I did sit on one for the whole day.
Whoa.
I had to, yeah.
Dee Tails is a cloud rider.
Yeah,
I just can't
he's
get
a
over
cloud
this.
rider.
Absolutely. And who else is Cloud Rider? We have Warwick Davis, as you know.
Who's reprising his role as Weasel from The Phantom Menace, which I think is awesome.
That's right. And see, I found that out later on in filming. And I just thought, oh, wow, that's awesome. And plus, you know, we're talking Willow. It's a reunion. Hey, why don't we make another Willow movie, you know?
Yes.
And Two Tubes, Aiden Cook. That is, as far as I'm aware, that is Two Tubes. That isn't just another one of the species or whatever.
It has been confirmed that it is Two Tubes from Rogue One.
That's right. That's right. So I'm already buzzing because I'm one of the Cloud Riders, and one of the other Cloud Riders is Two Tubes. And I had a few kind of rehearsal bits with Aiden, and I'm just like, dude, this is just epic for you. You know, you're just going to pop up in this movie and they're going to be like, oh, that's Two Tubes, you know? And I loved that. Yeah, so I'm one of those Cloud Riders. It's when he's got the mask off, it's the lizard face, so I call him Pretty Boy. And he was painted so exquisitely. I think that was by Katie Hood. But he was beautiful. And when he had the mask on, he kind of looked like a pumpkin head or something because it was at the top. So when you're looking at that massive lineup, I'm the furthest one on the left. If they show you the complete lineup, yeah. In the movie, when you get that overhead view and he's saying, I got 30 guns on that freighter down, I'm close. I'm right down at the bottom.
Okay.
You're the one furthest from the Falcon.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm holding the gun like this. That's me holding it like that.
Gotcha.
And in one of the trailers, and I think in the movie you see it really quickly, but in one of the trailers you see Warwick Davis shooting a bazooka at Dryden Voss's guys, and right down at the end, because it's then Stephanie, then it's Barbara, and then it's me, and we're shooting blasters, yeah? And I'm like, oh, wow, I get to shoot a blaster, for a split second. But yes, I get to shoot a blaster.
Well, you get to do everything. Yeah, this is just the Dee Tails movie.
I know.
Oh, hey. Did you get a chance to work with Anthony Daniels on the Spice Mines of Kessel? Because he was the character called Tak, which we see for a brief second, saying to everyone, come on, this way! When he's leading all the Wookiees away as Han and Lando are running up the Falcon ramp.
That's right. No, I didn't get to see him. I'd heard that he was on set because I'd come in a few days not knowing whether they wanted to rehearse my scene or if they wanted to see me in the background or something or whatever. So I was there and I was helping out the droids. So I was helping out Stephanie and Nathan with their suits and things like that. Because it's nice just to be on set, and I know those suits really, really well. So I know where the aches are, where it needs to be fitted. But I also got to see a bit of this action sequence that Ron had told us about right from the start, which was just amazing. It was absolutely amazing. But so I was milling about while the slaves were running all over the place, the Wookiees were running all over the place. Morif, the white furry dude from Rogue One, he was there, and you get to see him, I think, in that same sequence when Tak is talking about, let's get the hell out of it. So you see Morif for a few seconds. Yeah, and droids are just going crazy. And
Rebellion!
Yes. But I didn't know that L337 was going to get taken down at that point. So it was a nice surprise for me to see that sequence play out, because I wasn't there every day for that. I was only there a few days. But yeah, just little. Oh my goodness! Here's the thing. In Empire Strikes Back, right? 3PO says, "I don't know where your ship learned to communicate, but it has the most peculiar dialect." So all the way through last year, this is me last year. How the hell do I approach the two directors or the writers or Ron? How do I approach them and say, listen, there's this thing, right, that happens in Empire, and I always thought that maybe the reason why the Falcon is so special is because it has like an artificial intelligence, and I was going to go into one of those speeches, right? But I never got to speak to him. I never had that moment, and so I'm watching the movie now, and of course that thing happens, and I'm like, oh my goodness! I'm just like, I lost. That was my thing. That was kind of like what that would have been like my kind of like nugget of a wish for that movie, and it was there.
That's amazing. And actually, right on Twitter right now, John Kasdan is on Twitter, and he actually just confirmed today, working with C and P early on. I'm actually not sure who that is. We asked, what are some ways we can enrich people's experience of the other Star Wars movies? We all thought of the Millennium Falcon as a character with a long history prior to our story. L3 becomes a part of its personality, the prickly, sarcastic part. And I think in some of actually, Trisha Barr wrote in the Star Wars, one of the books.
The Ultimate Star Wars?
Ultimate Star Wars. She wrote in there that the Millennium Falcon has three droid brains.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And one of them is like L3. Isn't that crazy?
Wow, now it really begs for a sequel. Who are the other brains? Oh, maybe K2SO? Maybe he's one of them.
Maybe L1.
Yeah. L1. There you go. So now D is part of the Millennium Falcon. There you go. The circle is now complete.
Woo!
All right, now, speaking of complete D, we could talk to you forever and ever and ever and ever. But before we wrap this up, you ready for a light speed round of Did You?
Okay.
All right.
So don't think, just answer.
Did you, between takes, run onto the Millennium Falcon and play?
Yes.
What is your favorite room in the Millennium Falcon?
The favorite room, it was the bedroom area. It was because it was almost like a semi-bunk. So you kind of like had this big long couch, or it could double as a bed. But then at the back, at the head of it, it was like a sleeping part, like you would have like on one of those massive trucks you drive, and you have the sleeping part at the back at the top. It was like that. But then the room, the decor in the room, it was beautiful.
All right.
That's awesome.
Did you get a hug from Chewbacca?
On this one, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Not on this one. He hugged everyone for me. He hugged everyone.
All right. Did you get a chance to hold Han's DL-44 blaster?
How could you ask me that question? Oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah, I did. I did. And the thing
even
is,
more jealous of you.
I was sneaking out over it, and Sonny, the guy who does the props and everything like that, he saw and he said, "Dee," he goes, "Hang on, wait, after we've done this take." He came back and he held it out for me, and I didn't want to pick it up because it's a principal weapon and it's Alden's, it's Han's. And he said, no, hold it. There you go, hold it. So I held this thing in my hand, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences. I mean, it was well weighted. It felt like you could pull that trigger and shoot something. But it was Han's gun.
Did you take it and go pew pew?
No,
guys don't go pew pew. That's a girl thing.
Hang on, maybe we do occasionally. if I had more time with it, obviously. But I was in shock. I was in awe of the piece, and it was beautifully made. And I didn't want to damage the damn thing because it wasn't the stunt weapon I was holding; it was his gun. And so I had that experience, and I handed it back, and I was overwhelmed. I was just, thank you. I couldn't thank Sonny enough. You know,
just watching you reminisce about this, I can tell how much of a spiritual moment it was.
Oh, dude. I mean, you know, you gotta know.
Yeah,
it was. But there was another moment, and I have to say, there was another moment, and it was around a sabacc table. You know, Six Eyes, Argus,
right?
6 Eyes Panox, yes. That was, oh my goodness, that was worn by Derek Arnold, operated by Matt Denton and Andrew Kuhn, right? Matt Denton is one of the other creators of BB-8, so it's him and Josh Lee. And obviously Derek is good at wearing these things, but the head weighed a ton. The head was heavy, yeah, so he couldn't lean forward or anything like that, and we've got long days. Then, this is what happened on set. Can we get 6 Eyes looking at Han's card, and then kind of Han, you clock him, and then he looks back or whatever, from underneath the table? Yeah, we can do that. Right? So, action. And I'm standing at the monitor watching this, and it happens live. Alden clocks it. He looks up, and then goes back, and the eyes are looking up or whatever. And I will tell you this. Even I know that I'm in this film, because I guess my name's there, but I know I'm in this film, but watching that happen on the fly and watching that happen live, just upon command, to have 3 people in sync like that, you don't know how difficult it is. And they nailed it. My jaw hit the floor. It was kind of like, this is Star Wars for me. What these guys are doing and making it look so easy, that is my entire experience. And I will always state that is my most treasured moment that I got to see.
I do know how hard that is because that's what I used to do, animatronics and creature special effects, and we would spend a day just trying to coordinate 3 puppeteers so it looks like one creature is moving, not 3 different people moving one creature, but one fluid moment. So I know how difficult and time consuming that can be.
Oh my goodness. And this is on set. This is while we're filming. So it's like, how much time have you got to spend on this? It doesn't matter. The guys can do it in 3 takes, you know? Yes. And I'm just, it was that. When I see that in the movie, it's just, a lump is right there because I just bow before those maestros from Derek, Matt, and Andrew. That is, as well as everything else going on around that table. But that moment for me is a gem.
That is definitely a highlight of that scene.
Now, did you take any spice off the set as a souvenir?
Did I take any spice? No, but Tom Bell and myself were given the space badges we wear on our uniforms, our rat face laughing guys uniforms. Another set was printed up just for us to have, and it's all written in Star Wars language, but everybody who was responsible for making those outfits is named in that on those badges. It was one of the sweetest things. Samantha Keeble came up to us and said, "Here you go, there you go," and it was just, you don't normally take a souvenir. You're not allowed to take any souvenirs, And this was presented to us from Wardrobe, and it's a treasured piece now. So
that's awesome.
It wasn't spice.
Okay.
You didn't scoop a little in your pocket? Okay. You don't need to say. You don't need to say. I think he did. I think he did.
All right. One last did you you get called for episode 9 yet?
We haven't started. Episode 9 is I don't know when they're doing that. That might start this year, might start next year.
Technically, it starts shooting in just a few weeks, in July. Should we even bother asking you this? Because we know how elusive you can be.
Yeah, well, until they call me, and then even when they call me, I can't say. So maybe not. I don't know. It's very, very early. It's very, very early for that thing.
So, Dee, obviously we'll be talking to you in, December of 2019, right?
Or earlier. Maybe we can get them the break before the film comes out.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
What film is this? Are we talking now?
Yeah, all right. We've heard the story many, many times. If Skywalkers go back to your episode numbers 171, 201, and 207, where we talk to you, you're just as elusive as a Minoc in the dark.
But you do have awesome stories, so we do recommend going back to those episodes. And also, Dee, you're just a joy on social media as well. So can you tell our Skywalkers where to find you on social media?
Oh, wow. I'm on Instagram, digital_star. I almost forgot that for a second. Digital_star. Details. If you type in details, I think you'll get me or a dog grooming service. Actually, I keep saying that. They need to pay me for advertising. There's a dog grooming service called Details, named after me. So, it'll either be the dogs or it'll be me. And I'm on Facebook as Details, and you normally spot my page with a Daffy Duck. There we go.
Nice.
And I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter as well. I don't know what I'm on Twitter as, but I think it's
I think you're Dee Tails. Dee Tails. Yes, it's one word. Dee Tails.
There we go.
Tails.
Yes.
All right, Dee. Well, we can't thank you enough for coming back once again and finally revealing your character and sharing all these on-set stories. So much information I never even knew, and how could anyone know until they talk to you or now listen to you here on Skywalking Through Neverland once again.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. I love talking Star Wars with you guys.
That wraps up our solo breakdown part 2, episode 215 of
Skywalking Through Neverland. We'd like to thank Dee Tails and you Skywalkers for listening every single week to a week and a half.
Now, stay tuned to our Twitter and Instagram accounts, as we'll be giving away some solo Funko Pops anytime now. And also, if you play the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes mobile game, we have started a Skywalking Through Neverland guild. So just search your guilds for that name and come join us.
Hey, you know what? Do you want to do another contest right now? Buried deep in this outro?
Okay.
You know how Christopher Marino won a solo Funko Pop?
Exactly.
Well, seeing how this is another solo-tastic episode where we have solo coverage.
Yes, that's a good idea.
We should give away another solo
Okay.
another solo Funko Pop. So, How about this? If they can tweet at us another Ralph McQuarrie inspired design from a recent Star Wars film.
Okay. Or series.
Okay. They will win a Funko Pop. So they gotta give us the answer.
Okay.
Like Ralph McQuarrie, his inspiration was also used with blah, blah, blah. But also they have a special contest word.
Okay. So what we're going to do, you have to tweet at us. So at SkywalkingPod. And you have to be following at SkywalkingPod. Just so you know. So you need to tweet us the answer to a Ralph McQuarrie inspired design and use the hashtag SkywalkingRalph.
Okay.
Skywalking Ralph.
In any one of these solo Funko Pops, which we still have like 8 left?
Well, I think we have we got a bunch.
Yeah.
So Skywalking Ralph.
All right, so one of those could be yours. I like the idea of burying these contests.
Okay, that's fun. All right, now remember, you do have to be following at SkywalkingPod. All right, Skywalkers. Well, not only can you tweet at us, but you can help support us. If you head to skywalkingthroughneverland.com and go to the Support Us tab, we have links to Pozu shoes, our T Public shop, and Oppo suits. So clicking through those links to buy really helps us out.
Yeah, and you can watch our unboxing videos over there on YouTube where we had unboxed a couple of these Funko Pops.
Yeah, ooh, they're super fun. And I've got Lando with his little eyebrow up right here.
And I have Enfys Nest on my desk at my office.
Yes.
All right. Do you know what else is on my desk in my office?
What?
These awesome shows from RetroZap.com.
Whoa, because they're on your computer.
Yes, they are.
Whoa.
Thank you for saving that segue.
You're welcome.
And
like Brews and Blasters.
The Deucecast movie show.
And a Minicast.
Techno Retro Dads.
And Talking Apes.
Yes. And now you can also find Skywalking Through Neverland at JediNews.co.uk. And a special shout out because today is James Burns' birthday.
Aw, happy birthday, James. Yay.
And you can also find us over there at panthertracks.com.
So Skywalkers, remember we have our contest on social media at SkywalkingPod on Twitter. But you can also get a hold of us on Instagram. We are at SkywalkingPod. And we have our lovely Facebook group where you can get to know other Skywalkers. So search Facebook for Skywalking Through Neverland group, request to join, and answer those questions that pop up.
All right, now stay tuned for bloopers and other fun conversation bits that didn't make it into the show. And you'll find those right after these closing credits.
So Skywalkers, go out and see Solo again, and always remember...
Neverland on Alderaan. Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said.
This is what you can look forward to on part 2 of our Solo story, Ms.
Of our Solo-tastic breakdown.
Okay. Now it's time for the recap of the Solo press conference I got to attend, including all the fun things I did. That sounds stupid. Why does this sound stupid?
All right, now let's dive into the press conference, including all the fun things you got to do right before you got a chance to... I don't know why.
All right, so that was the Disney Consumer Products area, and I'm so excited about some of these items. And in fact, I got to try on some at the Hot Topic yesterday.
How many did you buy?
You know what? I actually ended up getting a Jurassic World item.
Wait a minute, at the Solo press conference?
No. Oh, no, you couldn't buy stuff at the Solo press conference. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Dee Tails. You can see me on the Spice Mines of Kessel as Quay Tolsite. And I am walking through... Let's start again. and I am skywalking through Neverland.
That didn't make any sense.
That made sense.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, you like it?
I liked it.
Okay.